Okay, everyone, welcome to St. Patrick's Day. Got my green broccoli earrings on, got my camouflage green shirt on, but I got the broccoli earrings on. So it's St. Patrick's Day, and wait for it. You know, here in Texas, they have lifted the ban. It's optional now for masks, but I had just ordered these. So I'm going to share it with you because I waited for these to come in the mail. So hold on, don't go away. Hi, how are you?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's funny.
Oh, bad.
Oh my God.
I got 3 of them, and it's like now I don't know if I can wear them, but it's still at the clinic. We still have to wear masks, so I think I might just go into work with this one and see what they say. Okay, back. Here we are, Dr. Rowe, your Starch lady, your crazy woman here. So I think I might put that as the thumbnail print for this week's message. Know how to get people to look at it, right? Anyways, I'm glad to have you here, Christina. Welcome. We get to meet
you. Hi, guys.
So excited. What is this, day 3 for you?
Yes.
All right. I'm so excited. She's been posting some incredible pictures.
And you know what? It was like so weird. Last night I was like, I have bought these bag of carrots for my horses, right? And I'm like, I've got all these carrots. What am I going to do? Because I now only have 1 horse. So I thought I'm going to make this carrot soup. So I was up like till 2 in the morning making this carrot soup. I'm like,
Hilarious. Yeah, I've been making, I don't know if you saw it last week's post, but I made carrot hot dogs.
oh no, I didn't see that one.
Oh my gosh, it's like one of my favorite things. The story that I put next to that post was talking about growing up extremely poor, where we literally lived on powdered milk and bread, like bread and milk. And my uncle would bring us, stale bread or whatever, but we'd have bread, we'd have powdered milk. And so we didn't even ask, what was for dinner. My mom would just say hot air and mountain scenery, that's what I would say. But once in a while, we would get hot dogs and sauerkraut. And because there's so much flavor in sauerkraut, so that just saying it right now, my mouth just locked up and said, give me that. So I love sauerkraut. And I think it's the sauerkraut and the mustard that I love the most of all of that meal, but it just stuck with me. And so when I was like 18 years old, I was dating a man who was 33. I know, but he asked me one day what my favorite meal was. And when I told him it was hot dogs and sauerkraut, he looked at me like, okay, that's a cheap date. So he made it for me, but he served it with mashed potatoes. Blew my mind. I'd never had mashed potatoes with sauerkraut and weenies. I mean, what's that all about? It's like he ruined the meal. Why is he having that? But I was 18 years old before I learned that in traditional standard American dietary recommendations, there should be a protein, a starch, and a vegetable. And that's what he was doing. He was just trying to add a starch to my favorite meal. And then he ruined it. But, at the same time, it's like I didn't know anything about nutrition until I was an adult. And when you have a family, and I can show you a picture of my brothers and myself, have a picture of my brothers, and they're all lined up from oldest to youngest, and they're in a stair-step shape, and they're so beanpole thin. I can go get it off the refrigerator if you want to see it. But because we were so malnourished growing up, the older kids, they grew up on just pasta cooked in water. I grew up with bread and milk. I was the lucky generation. And but as soon as we got out of the house, had our own income, we went hog crazy on eating every piece of food we can get our hands on. So it created an eating disorder for all of us, because all of my brothers have pushed the 300-pound mark, 200 plus on a constant. And because we went from being these, malnourished kids to, grown adults with no constraints or idea of what nutrition should be. So now I've got a bunch of brothers who've been living for years now on the keto diet, and they don't look any better than they did when they started. So it's really, their health is horrible, horrible. I had one brother that ended up in the hospital for several days, hadn't had a bowel movement in so long that it became a critical situation. We have ancestors, in fact, now this is TMI, but we have ancestors that on their death certificate, it says that they died from constipation.
Wow.
Yeah. So can you imagine, and I've been that way before, where I've told my husband, if I have a brain hemorrhage, it's because of this, trying to have a bowel movement. So eating more fiber, eating more vegetables. And like I said, for the last 12, 13 years now, I've eaten plants with very little, if any, meat, because I know what the blood looks like. I know how disgusting that is in a microscope to see rotting, fermenting fragments of meat floating through the screen, or turquoise colored crystals from dairy that are still in the blood that are going to become tissue and organs. So I'm pretty good about not eating any of that stuff. Once in a blue moon, maybe, if I'm out to dinner or something. But getting the fiber in, getting the starches in, and having a body that works properly is absolutely, life-changing, not just for me, but for everybody that I work with that teach them this kind of a lifestyle. So, I mean, hash brown soup, I call this, where we put so much hot water in there that it's still kind of sloopy. And I've got spinach, freeze-dried spinach that's rehydrating in here too, with a little bit of the everything but the bagel seasoning. And it might have a little bit too much fat, because I just noticed there's sesame seeds in here, but it says 0 fat, but the serving size is a 1/4 teaspoon. That's a teeny tiny, that's like a pinch. So that's how they get away with labeling things and having it say 0 fat and stuff like that, because I got a teaspoon in here. So I've got 0 times 4. So I'm sure there's some in there, but it's a great seasoning to add on and stuff. And, this soup has lasted all week. I was drinking this soup, another jar of this is my last one, last week when we talked, and it's just potatoes and, let's see what's in here, potatoes and corn and onions. It's like a potato corn chowder. And, but when I put the lids on, when it was a little bit warm, it kind of snuck the lid down tight. And I just had to pop it off this morning, and it's still good to go. So I love batch cooking. I like having the ability to just grab a soup, grab a salad, grab a potato. Oh my goodness, the potatoes. Since we're all talking here about me right now, I'll get my little segment out of the way, and then we'll go around the corner here and see what y'all have been doing. I ordered these. Have you seen these before?
I have.
Potato Express. Are you the one that told me about these?
Yep.
Yeah. So I just got these, and I can't wait to use them, because they not only will keep food hot, if I want to take hot potatoes with me in my purse, but I can also put cold ones in here and keep them cold and fold them up and stick them in my handbag. And
you can microwave right in those. You put the corn or potatoes right in the bag and microwave and just take it with you.
yeah, that's what it was saying. I don't use a microwave, but I can see how that would be an advantage to people who would. So taking it cold or hot from the house is going to be kind of cool. And then last but not least, because I'm really hungry, do you see what this is?
Nope.
That is one apple, but I use the mandolin on the #1 setting, and I get apples that are this thin.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is like eating, we've decided in this family, it's not about quality, it's quantity. So if I can eat an apple in 16 bites, or there's got to be at least 100, because each side of the apple I was able to get like 18 slices. So 18 times 2, and then on the other ends, 18 times 2. The small end of the apple makes them like this, where they're skinny.
Could you put them in the air fryer with a little cinnamon on them?
You could. I can put these in the air fryer and crisp them up. We can do the same thing with potatoes. But, if I'm trying to get my apple a day, and this is a fun way to sit and watch TV and eat this at nighttime, and I don't want any other snack or craving. And, but yes, my husband wants me to do the same thing because I was showing him again today. He wants me to do it with potatoes and make some homemade chips. So I'm going to try that tonight in the air fryer. So yeah, I'm a little bit hungry and I'm trying to eat so that after we get done and I've had some rest time, Samantha and I can do our thing because we've been exercising the last couple of days. Anybody else who wants to join us, we can do it on Zoom here. And I screen share with the yesterday and the day before we did Leslie, how do you say your last name? Simone, Gina?
Sansone.
Oh, that's it. That lady. She has a 5-mile walk in your house video that will make you sweat. Oh. And yeah, Gina, I'll have to show that picture later, okay? But no, okay, Gina says no.
No, I did that walk this morning. Oh, and I sent Dr. Rowe a picture of me drenched in sweat, dying.
Yeah, it was great. Sam and I did 3 miles yesterday because it's broken down in 1 mile segments for the 5. So you could do like 1 a day or 2 or 3 a day or whatever. But yeah, it's been pretty fun. So anyways, let's start up in the top left corner with Gina. Tell me what you're eating, how your week's gone, and what's going on with you.
Okay, I just finished eating it because it's 1:15 my time and I was dying. So it's gone, but it was good. And I posted a picture of it in the group. So if anybody wants to look at it, it was roasted 4 Yukon potatoes. And then I made some asparagus, and then I made 2 portobello caps with some liquid smoke and water sauteed them. And then I used that leftover to make a mushroom gravy. I just thickened it up a little bit with a little cornstarch and added maybe a half a teaspoon of Better Than Bouillon, the vegan one. And then I poured that over the potatoes. So I had a plate of potatoes and then a plate of vegetables.
You're getting into the volume eating stage.
Well, I've always been a volume eater, and that's why I think this is really sticking for me. I mean, I've been doing this now. This makes 21 weeks. So
happy. And what's your total weight loss so far?
So far, 29 pounds. I'm really trying to get to that 30. I'm on day 6 of my mini. So I really want to see that 30 gone.
And how about your inches? I know you've been measuring inches, and I showed last week that picture of you in your tight stretched outfit, and then here you were, I think it was like week 10 or something.
It was day 50, yeah.
Day 50, and it's like hanging on you, like you have, it's just, it's like cascading like a curtain on you instead.
That tank doesn't really fit at all anymore. It was an 18-20 from Lane Bryant, and now I'm wearing like a 14-16. So
yeah, isn't that fun? That is so fun. I love that a lot. Okay, cool. All right, Christina Marquez. How do you say your last name?
Marquez.
Marquez. Okay. She's new. This is day 2. She's kind of been watching us for the last week or so. And
yeah.
She started actually eating the program the last couple of days. So tell us how it's been going for you.
Well, it's amazing because my family does not eat I love this kind of eating. I have always loved this. My mom is into vegetables and all this, but my family is not. My family doesn't eat fruits. They won't eat fruit in their foods. They don't eat beans. My husband doesn't like baked potatoes. So for him, but he's Hispanic. So I cook a lot of enchiladas, a lot of Mexican heavy foods. And it's hard for me, but like he's now working out of town during the week and he only comes weekend, and I'm thinking this is good for me. So I cook all his meals on Sunday and then he goes away, so I have to meal prep for him, which is really hard for me. But so I think I'm going to be okay though, because now that I've gotten a couple days in, I'm really loving the food. I love this way of eating and I'm just enjoying it. So, and years ago I went to one of John McDougall's 3-day things that they had out in my area. My girlfriend's a vegan. And so she talked me into going because I'd had cancer and on and on and on. So, but right now I'm at my heaviest weight and I cannot stand myself. I can't hardly breathe. When I walk, I'm just uncomfortable. I'm just like, comfortable in my skin. So I pulled out all these books that I have from John McDougall and all these recipes. And I've got the Starch book. I've got, so I know this stuff, but I kind of have not delved into it because back when I went to the thing, it was really hard. It's like having a potato and a salad and this and that. And I couldn't really kind of fathom or put it together. but now watching your group and seeing everybody put these meals together, stuff, I'm like, I can do this. And so I'm enjoying it. As you can see, I'm like posting pictures of what I'm making. So excited.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. We're going to be introducing a new contest today too for this upcoming month. And so I'm excited to share those details with you, and that'll play right into that as well. So we've got a three-step or 3-point program that we're going to be doing this next month. And with Gina's help and Beth and I chit-chatting back and forth, posting those pictures is key for me. I think that keeps everybody on track. We are less likely to eat something if we have to post a picture of it to the group. And if it's something unique and new, of course, just go ahead and pop that recipe in there, because you know we're going to ask for it anyway. I love it. You
get so many ideas from seeing what other people post. I just love it.
Exactly. I have that little emoji of that. She's a tall, thin blonde. She's standing at a kitchen counter and she's going, recipe, please. Recipe, please. And I put that on there every once in a while when people are posting a recipe or they show a picture of something really cool. It's like, well, tell me how you did that, and then go from there. So I'm really excited to have you in the group. And
thank you.
Sometimes we'll have a whole bunch of people on this call. Sometimes it's a one-on-one, but we're consistent every single week. And I'm really excited to be able to share some things with you each week that we've learned and throughout the week as well, and sharing those ideas together, because that's how we grow. But having this accountability is amazing. And I know with the 12-day program that I just did in January with the McDougalls through their medical center, they call me still once a week to get my weight, my blood sugar and my blood pressure and any deets from the week. And if I gain weight or stay the same, they want to know what I ate and why I'm not moving, because in a week's time I should have a change. And if I'm staying the same, then they know that I'm not eating exactly the right way. So that's some serious accountability. So we kind of work that together, but having a support group is the key element that has been missing in every diet that I've ever tried in my entire life. Not having that support system, or like when I went to take off pounds sensibly when we lived in Japan, and I lost 70 pounds in a year. And I felt great. And I was walking like, 10 kilometers a day around the flight line and stuff, which is about 7 miles, and walking stairs 3 days a week with a friend of mine who lived in a high-rise condo. I think she's in our group. I'd love to see her if she comes on. But, we do 9 flights up and then power down, and 9 flights up and power down. We do that for like 2 hours just talking with each other. And the weight flew off and was able to keep it off. But not having a support group, or like that Take Off Pounds Sensibly group that I used to go to, I thought I was going to win the contest. And the contest was these little handmade washi eggs in Japan that is a really common craft. And for every pound you lost, you got one of these as an ornament for your Christmas tree. And so I was really wanting to win that contest. And this other lady won the contest, and she did lose more weight, but then she had to bring all of her washi eggs back, and she had to bring back all of her awards and certificates, because somebody found out that she had been going to Baskin and Robbins every morning and getting a triple thick vanilla shake and just sipping on that throughout the day, because that shake was about 1,200 calories by itself. And that was all she was eating all day long to lose that weight. Occasionally she'd have a can of green beans. And that was not taking off pounds sensibly. Sam and I have done Take Off Pounds Sensibly before in the past. And that is not a sensible way to lose weight. They don't really have specific guidelines, but that was not sensible. And it was embarrassing as all get out for her to have to bring all that back. And then I was embarrassed because then I was taking it home, So, but this is a great way for us to share and to become a group that works together, supports each other. I love the comments and the interactions on the Facebook group. You guys are great. It's like having a bunch of brothers and sisters there, encouraging each other on. So I love that a lot. All righty, let's move on to Beth Rooney, our Star McDougaller. Did they accept your Star McDougal application?
They haven't. I haven't heard from them at all.
Okay, I'll check on that. I know Tiffany's on vacation this week, so I didn't have to meet with her. But for Christina, who's new, Beth has lost how much weight, Beth?
All total with both things I was doing, 92 pounds.
Wow, congratulations. How long?
Actually, April 18th will be my 1 year from when I started. So I started with a program where you count points, and I was starving, and Dr. Rowe would always joke about my meal. I'd be so proud to show her what I could eat, and she'd look at it and she'd go, "And that's your snack?" And I'm like, "No, it's the whole meal." So,
but that's how many points she was allowed. So then she, June 14th, about 2 months later, I was going out of town for 6 weeks. She decided to give it a try. And in the 6 weeks that I was gone, she lost exactly 30 pounds. I came back and she was 144, down from 174. And I've known Beth for a long time, since like 2003. And she had always been 200, 175, 200, 175. She gained and lose the same 20, 25 pounds over and over again. So for me to come back from our trip 6 weeks later, and she was down 30 pounds, that was shocking her as well as me. I didn't even recognize her. I drove right past her. And then she's just continued on, and she's down to a very svelte 109 pounds this morning. So, and she's the same height as I am. So I know it's capable, it's possible. It's, we don't have bigger bones. We have the same bones that we had when we were thin. They didn't get bigger just because we did. And so getting back down to a size body that fits those bones is the goal. So, and she's still within her BMI as well. So she's right at the cusp. She knows that she can't go below. And so she doesn't go below 108. And then she can stay in her BMI. So I love it. She's also the moderator. If I hadn't let you into the group, she would have. We work together on this, and she does a lot of stuff behind the scenes, tracking the points to be able to put the people's names in the hat and stuff for the drawings and different things that way. So she does a lot of work behind the scenes. All right, Samantha, talk to us.
Hello. So I'm the one that does the easy food because I'm not interested in cooking and all of that. It's very quick, very easy. Potato and salad, potato and zucchini, potato and whatever. In fact, that's what I have. I have my zucchini and my green beans and my potato with mustard and my salad with mustard. And yes, I will eat it all because I eat a lot of food, but it takes me a long time to eat it. But I'm wanting to know, wait a minute, because I did not get any points or anything to Beth because I'm like, I'm not even gonna do that. Is anybody putting my name in the hat when I post something on the group? Okay, then I could still win.
yeah, I did that. What I do is I have a spreadsheet, and every day I go back and I look at the Zoom meetings because that's where those names are being put in, and I go ahead and record it. I have it set up so that it's each week, and I just go down and record it. And then the people for the last 2 meetings got their name in the hat twice. So yeah, I just put that all in there, and then I print the names and folded them up, put them in a bowl, mixed them up, and then my grandson pulled out a name, and that's how we did that. But yeah, I make sure I check it every day, usually in the evening. Sometimes I can do it throughout the day, and then I also go in and I put, the headings underneath what it is. But yeah, I'm making sure that I get everybody in there. So
Yay.
Yeah, so what we're doing is, what we did this last month is if you were on this call, like right now, all of you would be in the hat. And then if somebody went back and watched the playback, and I'll talk about that in a second, if they go back and watch the playback, they have to leave a comment and then their name goes in the hat. They can't just say thumbs up because that doesn't mean that they watched it. They have to actually put a comment, and we like them to be able to say something about something they learned in the comment or from the show. I am going to have green spinach all over my teeth. I can hardly tell because I'm having like a snack here, just look at my teeth.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Anytime I have spinach, which I always have, I always have green teeth.
I love it. I love it.
Please green.
That's it. Okay, so Agnes, my darling, talk to us.
Hola, everyone.
Hola.
So I'm like Samantha. I like to keep it simple. So I'm just having a baked potato and some green beans. I like the French cut. I don't like the big ones. And some corn. And I kind of been sticking with that, trying to keep it, I'm trying to like, because I've been falling back a little bit. But I'm trying to keep it simple. Like I like the Mary's Mini because it's just potato and a salad or some vegetables. And that's kind of like what I'm at right now. And then I want to do that for a while. And then slowly introduce something, a sweet potato or something.
Mm-hmm.
And a little tiny sprinkle of nutritional yeast.
Why
So,
just a little tiny sprinkle?
Because Rosemary told me that too much is not good.
Well, I was telling her what Dr. Lim said about it. That is water soluble. So if you eat too much vitamin B12, it will pee out and it'll be bright orange, bright yellow or bright orange. And so, but yeah, so moderation in all things. So
I'll tell you, I love it. I love it. Every time I got a plate and I see it sprinkled on the pictures, I'm like, oh, I mean, if I can eat it with a spoon and not choke, I would probably do that.
I've tried it.
But
Nutrilicious is actually edible with the spoon. It's like, that's like, yeah, Parmesan cheese level.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some in the salt shaker.
Oh.
And I'll just sprinkle it like if it was salt because, I mean, yeah, I'll use like 3 or 4 tablespoons. That's a lot.
That's awesome. All right. Well, that's good to know. Anybody else hiding on the call that I'm not seeing here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, that's all of us. Okay, good. Because sometimes if there's more, it kind of goes to a different screen, but usually it just gets smaller and smaller. So talking about the playbacks, I struggled all week to try to figure out how to get the closed caption on our videos. And so the only way that I can do it is uploading these calls into YouTube. And when I load it into YouTube, I have to select English and subtitles so it's available. And it doesn't come up automatically. And I didn't know that. And that was what was frustrating me. There's a little tiny CC icon up at the top right corner of every YouTube video next to where it'll say you can Comcast it and send it up to your TV or something. Right next to that, up in the top right hand corner, is a little square that says CC. So if we need the closed captioning, we can hit that CC and it'll automatically start spitting it out at the bottom of the screen for them. It's not 100% accurate, but it is literally the easiest way, the quickest way to get the closed captioning for those that need it. And with Beth and her hearing impaired community, we really want to incorporate them. I've got a lot of friends. I wanted to be a deaf educator myself when I grew up. And so I need to reach out to some of those people and say, look, here we are for you, those friends from long ago, and see if they want to join in and be able to see that. But in order to do that, I need to put probably a little disclaimer on the Facebook group that says that these videos will be uploaded to YouTube. Now I can make them private so only those people that have a link can see them, but I want to be able to draw more people in as well. So does anybody have any opposition to being on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. I don't have that many followers anyways.
But I would have like done something different, you know? I thought it was just us.
You're kind of in the shadow, Christina. You're okay. So, but anyways, I just think it'd just be a better way to get people, and it will add that closed caption, because then I can take that link, put it back on the Facebook group, and then people can link it and share it and stuff like that.
All right, the next time I'm gonna look like Gina and get all pretty and put on my makeup.
Ain't she gorgeous?
And she even worked out this morning. I have no excuses for this.
Oh, you look fine. You look fine. But we are gonna get. This is our year, ladies and gentlemen that listen to this later. This is our year, 2021. We got off to such a good start. We literally had our first lunch meet and eat on the day before Thanksgiving. That's how dedicated we were to getting started. We didn't wait until after the holidays and start the beginning of the year. We jumped right in there and started doing these lunch meet and eats like right off the bat. Hello, Potato. Hello, Potato. How are you?
It was baking. It was baking. I already ate my steamed cauliflower, but I got to show you. I used to eat little tiny potatoes. Okay, this is my lunch. It's huge, and I'll eat the whole thing with edible yeast. Oh yeah.
I'm more excited about the fact that the way you're holding it, you're thinner than it is. So the potatoes towards the camera, and your little teeny tiny waist back there is like 2 potatoes wide if you hold it just right. So.
Oh my goodness.
Like I said, I can't wait until you get your teeth next month. This is going to be, I want to see the first thing you eat. She said that the first thing she wanted to eat was hot food so it wouldn't burn her mouth.
I want to eat a potato skin. That's what I want to eat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because right now we can't do that. So
we have no excuses. We've got Beth with no teeth. We got, she's doing this. We can do this, right? So
just take my last name off so people don't know who I am.
Okay. Well, you can change that on you. So
I can?
Yeah, right. Hover over your picture or down at the bottom, and it'll say right where you see your picture on the screen, right next to where it says mute, there's 3 dots, and it'll let you rename yourself. So you can, so when you sign in.
Oh, I see. It says rename.
Yes. So rename yourself. So as soon as you come in on the calls, just go right straight to that and change that name, because I don't start recording until a few minutes later, as you noticed today.
Okay.
So that gives you
that way people won't recognize me anyways.
So like on mine, how my name comes up for my Zoom account as Dr. Rowe, the Starch Lady. And I have another account at the office that says Dr. Rowe, the Water Lady, because so we do most of our water appointments through there for my water consulting. And so when I go into the group that McDougall sponsors, they cannot stand any self-promotion. So as soon as I log in, I have to jump up there and back out the Starch Lady, because it's just in my default. And so I have to go in there and change it just and leave Dr. Rowe. And on Facebook, my name is 3. It's Rosemarie Carter Montgomery on Facebook, because that's how I keep in contact with all my childhood friends from when I was a little girl. I've had people that I've met from Sunday school class when I was 3 years old that have found me on Facebook because I put my maiden name, which is Carter, in with my married name. So good morning, Caroline, or afternoon up there in Canada. Unmute yourself and tell us about your week and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, actually, when I had started eating this way, I never read any of the books. I think I just started watching Plantful Kiki's videos. And I briefly heard about starting your meals with super salad or whatever. I think that's the maximum weight loss thing, but never gave it too much thought because I'm really not in it to lose a whole bunch of weight. And then I watched a different YouTube video from, I think her name is Stacia.
Oh, I like Stacia.
And yeah. And she mentioned something called preloading, which is the same idea, to start your meal with super salad or fruit. So I had, and last, I don't know, a couple days, having soup before my meal. It does keep me fuller longer, and I think I'm going to keep doing that for a while.
Yeah, there you go. The number one key to this whole thing is not being hungry. Now, there are days that I get really, really busy and my meals go a little bit stretched out, and I will start to get those hunger pains. And in my mind, I'm going, ooh, how long can you maintain this hunger pain? Because if you're having hunger pains, you're losing weight. I know you are. That's like my little subconscious thing that I'm thinking to myself, right? So, but anyways, not having to be hungry, being able to go back for seconds. And like last night, I don't know if you saw the post where I put in that we made make your own pizzas last night with the potato crust shells. And so my son had one, my husband had one, I made one. And it's only like 10 inches, they're about the size of a paper plate. Okay, it's not a really big pizza, but we have determined, just like my apples in our house, it's about quantity, not quality. So they're easier to eat too. But so I cut my own pizza that I decorated all myself, and it had minced garlic and a little bit of marinara. And then it had an entire layer of basil, and it had yellow and red bell peppers. It had mushrooms. My husband had pulled out some frozen peas and corn to put on his, because in Japan, they used to put corn and potatoes on the pizza. And so he was putting some of that on his pizza. So I put some on mine, took a jalapeno and ran it through the blade as well and got it super thin, put some jalapenos on top and put it in the oven. And when it came out, I cut it in 8 pieces, not 4. It would have been real easy to cut about this size into 4 pieces. They would have been manageable, but it's about quantity. And I still am in that eating frenzy kind of mindset. Like if I have anything, I have to have at least 3 bites, because the first one I'm going to inhale, whoop, it's gone. The second one I'm going to eat really fast too. And then I'm going to go, oh, wait, okay, calm down. And then the third one I'm going to savor. So my pizza was in 8 pieces last night. And there's a funny YouTube video of this lady and her husband. He says, hey, do you want him to cut the pizza in 8 pieces or 12? And she's like going, how fat do you think I am? I can't eat 12 pieces, you know, and it's the same pizza. It's just cutting more pieces. And he could not get it through her head that it was the same amount of pizza, just cutting more pieces. And she thought he was insulting her that, you know, she was so fat that she needed 12 pieces of pizza, even though it was the same size as 3, you know, or 6 or whatever. And so last night we cut it in 8, and only 4 of them fit nicely on my paper plate as I sat down with my husband at because we eat in our reclining chairs because we can, you know, empty nesting privileges, I guess. Our son was sitting on the other couch because he's here doing his college. And so I sat down and says, you know what the best part about this meal is? And he says, what's that? I says, if I want more, I can go back and eat those other 4 pieces. And it was like, oh my gosh. And what was the whole pizza? Maybe a cup of mashed potatoes. I make it with water and or vegetable broth, depending on what mood I'm in. It's got some seasonings in it. Like I love ground rosemary and thyme and garlic powder and onion powder. And just a little teeny scoop of guar gum, which makes it kind of sticky. And then I form it into the shape that I want, whether it's in a deep dish, like in my silicone baking pan, or if it's flat, like it was yesterday out on the trays. Then I bake it, flip it over, bake it a little bit longer, and then we get to top it with whatever, and it's free season. You know, it's just vegetables and potatoes. I mean, go figure. But something as simple as that, and putting that up there and showing it to you, I really, really want to see more food. And this last month, I've been in withdrawals because without counting points for every single little food post that we were doing, because we were doing every food, every glass of water, you know, exercise, sleep, we were doing all these things. And it was like almost a full-time job to keep track of that chart. So a lot of people weren't doing it because it was just overwhelming and too much. So then we went simple and just did it with the videos this month, but we're going to kind of incorporate a little bit of both this time. We'll talk about that here towards the end. But what I wanted to point out is we want to be able to incorporate more people and their input. And by offering points for this month, we're going to be offering points for no cheat days. So I would like to, at least at the end of each day, before you go to bed, make a post. And even if it's just so long as to post your 3 or 4 photos of food that you ate for that day, just pop it in there. If somebody wants the recipe, they'll ask for it. Or if you have the recipe, great, add it. But don't feel like you have to add the recipe for every single thing, because a lot of it is self-explanatory. We can see that, you know, that's like obviously a whole grain pasta with, you know, some sort of a sauce on it and vegetables. But we may come back and say, what was the sauce made of, if it's not obvious, you know? So we would like to see more of that. But I'm going to give points for no cheat days. And then the other point idea is, of course, these meetings. You get a point for watching every single one of these lunch and meet and eats, whether you are on it live or you watch it afterwards. You just have to leave a comment. Now, you guys don't have to leave a comment because you're commenting here verbally. But anybody else who watches it later, that's watching this, you know, now listening to the rules, I want you to put a comment and mention something that you learned from the video, so we know that you watched it. Not that we think you're cheating, but we do want to know what you're learning, and that helps me to know what we need to talk about. Or if you have a suggestion for what you want to talk about in future luncheons, you know, please let me know, because I'm here to help you. This is a free service, free group, free fun, free friends. Okay. So we're not, you know, we're free. Okay. I grew up in Las Vegas and nothing's free. So everything's free. So I do have a cute couple of things that I want to show you. I'm going to do a screen share and share some audios and videos with you. The first one is an audio, and I might be able to get it to pull up without sharing the screen, but I want you to see where it came from too. So let's go ahead and do a share screen. And then we'll go over the actual rules here in a minute. But I want to, let's see, there was a third thing. So before we forget the rules. So one is watching the videos or the playbacks. Number 2, Gina's idea was to watch some sort of whole food, plant-based type video, or read a book or something that is related to what we're doing. And then you can get points for doing that. So share that with us. You know, if you're reading a book that you love, show us a picture of the book and make a comment on the Facebook group about what you're learning from there, so that we can go, oh, that's a good book. I'll order that one too, and I'll read that too. There's a couple of books we're going to talk about here in a little bit that came up on one of our chats this morning, if I can find them. I think that's going to be a great motivator too. So there's 3 ways. And then of course the no cheat days, and you don't have to post individually like I do. Like sometimes I like to do a little narrative, because I'm actually kind of cheating ahead. I am going to be making a recipe book. And so when I do these little narratives about, you know, like my sauerkraut and weenies, that sort of thing, and how that came to be, that's because at some point I'm going to copy and paste that into my recipe book. Now I do have an ebook now, and there was something I was going to tell people that they could do to earn that ebook. And that was, do you remember what I told somebody that they could win the ebook for if they did it this week? I will think of it. I will go back and look at those notes, but I have a purpose. And if you do this one thing that I'm asking you to do, I will give you a link to my ebook. It's over 200 pages, and a bunch of those are recipes, and I'm going to be adding in a bunch more recipes. So I'll probably do that by next month's contest, because I should have the recipes up in there by that time. So anyways, but today let's do a little bit of share time here and share my screen with you. And we're going to go over here to the one that Gina shared with me this week. It's called Nutrition Facts by Dr. Greger. And now Dr. Greger was on Forks Over Knives, as was Dr. McDougall, and some other of the broadcast videos and stuff that we've seen in the past. I'll put this over here, then I look like I'm looking straight at you. This is one that he does. He has this free website, Nutrition Facts with Dr. McGregor, that tells you all kinds of free information. If you have a question, you can search it on here. He does do what is called the McGregor Dozen. And he feels that you have to eat those dozen things every single day in order to meet all your nutrient needs. The only thing that I disagree with, as Dr. McDougall would, is he does a lot more seeds and nuts than I would like. And when we're trying to lose weight, seeds and nuts are not our friend, because any fat, and I'm gonna say this probably a couple times to this video, but Chef AJ always says, if it's in your house, it's in your mouth, right? So if it's in your house, it's in your mouth. And in my Friday morning McDougall Buddy breakfast that I do with the graduates from my class in January, one of the moderators, in fact, he was visiting friends recently, and he was all mindset to go and be successful and help them to understand what he could and couldn't eat, because they go every year and it's like, you know, food haven. Well, they get to their room, and like the good host that she was trying to be, she had an open bowl of mixed nuts just sitting there. And of course that, you know, he said he didn't want to be ungrateful, so he felt like he had to eat some. You know, if I was really staunch, I would have like taken a handful and hidden it in the garbage can or something, and napkin or something. So she thought I ate it, but that would be too hard. I mean, it would be very hard to be in a room with an open bowl full of nuts that you're walking past every day. So I can't see if anybody else is asking to join the group. Let me see if that is a thing. Is it going to let me see that? It probably won't let me see it. This late in the thing, I don't think anybody's going to be there. But another one was they had made it very clear to their hosts that they couldn't have any oil, that they were, you know, cutting oil out of their meal. And so the hostess was so sweet. She said that she got rid of all the olive oil. She wasn't going to cook with any olive oil, and the meal was made instead with canola oil, because it was a vegetable plant-based oil. And so she still didn't understand, because now he had this meal he had to eat that was saturated in canola oil instead of just olive oil. So a great opportunity to teach, but you know, teaching without preaching is a slippery slope. So anyway, so repeat after me. If it's in your house, it's in your mouth.
If it's in your house,
It's in your mouth.
That's right. If it's in your house, it's in your mouth. Chef AJ. All right, so this one here, he's talking for just a brief few minutes. It's only 15 minutes. We're going to take that time to do that today. If you can stay with me, I think it's going to be very beneficial. It's talking about my favorite subject, hydration with water. All right, listen to this. You can't hear it?
No, there's no sound.
No sound at all? You don't hear any of that?
No, just like far away, a muffled noise.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
garbled.
All right, so I know. I will
Garbled.
put it on my phone because the speaker is using you guys. Let me go here to Gina's chat, and I'll pull it back up again. And I'll do it over here this way. Okay, here we go. All right, this you should be able to hear. Thank you for letting me know. I'm sorry about that.
Still no sound.
Well, I haven't started yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, here we go.
Welcome to the Nutrition Facts Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Michael Greger. The coronavirus pandemic has made many of us very aware of the importance of maintaining and improving our health. Make that your silver lining, because the more positive change we can make to our diet and lifestyle, the better. There's been a lot of research lately on the best and safest way to boost our metabolism. And here's a sample of what we found. In our first story, we look at how our adrenaline system plays a role in regulating our metabolism and our weight. Thermogenic drugs like DMP can cause people to overheat to death. It can increase resting metabolic rates by 300% or more. A more physiological spread would range about 10 times less, from a 30% slower metabolism in people with an underactive thyroid to a 30% higher metabolism when the part of our nervous system that controls our fight or flight response is activated. In response to a fright or acute stress, special nerves release a chemical called noradrenaline to ready us for confrontation. You experience that by your skin getting paler, cold, and clammy as blood is diverted to your more vital organs. Your mouth can get dry as your digestive system is put on hold. Your heart starts to beat faster. What you don't feel is the extra fat being burned to liberate energy for the fight. That's why people started taking Ephedra for weight loss. Ephedra is a evergreen shrub used for thousands of years in China to treat asthma because it causes the same release of noradrenaline that offers relief to asthmatics by dilating their airways. In the United States, it was appropriated for use as a metabolic stimulant, shown to result in about 2 pounds of weight loss a month in 19 placebo-controlled trials. By the late 1990s, millions of Americans were taking it. The problem is that it had all the other noradrenaline effects like increasing heart rate and blood pressure. And so chronic use resulted in strokes, heart arrhythmias, and death. The FDA warned the public of the risks in 1994, but it wasn't banned until a decade later after a major league pitcher dropped dead. In the current wild west of dietary supplement recommendation, a supplement can be marketed without any safety data at all. And the manufacturer is under no obligation to disclose adverse effects that may arise. No surprise then that online vendors assured absolute safety, no negative side effects, 100% safe for long-term use. The president of Metabolife International, leading seller of Ephedra, assured the FDA that the company had never received a single notice from a consumer that any serious adverse health event had occurred. In reality, they received 13,000 health complaints, including reports of serious injuries, hospitalizations, and deaths. If only there was a way to get the benefits of Ephedra without the risks. There is, but to understand it, you first have to grasp a remarkable biological phenomenon known as the diving reflex. Imagine yourself walking across a frozen lake and suddenly falling through the ice, plunging into the icy depths. It's hard to think about greater instant fight or flight shock than that. Indeed, noradrenaline would be released, causing the blood vessels in your arms and legs to constrict to bring blood back to your core. You can imagine how fast your heart might start racing, but that would actually be counterproductive, right? Because you'd use up your oxygen faster. Remarkably, what happens instead is your heart rate actually slows down. That's the diving reflex. First described in the 1700s, air-breathing animals are born with this automatic safety feature to help keep us from drowning. In medicine, we can exploit this physiological quirk with what's called a cold face test to see if a comatose patient has intact neural pathways. You can apply cold compresses to their face to see if their heart immediately starts slowing down. Or more dramatically, it can be used to treat people who flip into an abnormally rapid heart rate. Remember that episode of ER where Carter dunks the guy's face into a tray of ice water? It was on TV when I was in medical school, and a group of us would gather around and count how many times they violated universal precautions. Okay, but what does this have to do with weight loss? The problem with noradrenaline-releasing drugs like Ephedra is the accompanying rise in heart rate and blood pressure. But what the diving reflex shows is that it's possible to experience selective noradrenaline effects, raising the possibility that there may be a way to get the metabolic boost without risking stroking out. Unbelievably, this intricate physiological feat may be accomplished by the most simplest of acts. Instead of drowning in water, simply drinking it. Wait, what? Wait, you can boost your metabolism drinking water? Buckle your safety belts. You are in for a wild ride.
You tell why I love this?
We discovered the effect of drinking water on adrenal hormone. Drink a few cups of water, and within 3 minutes, the level of the adrenal gland hormone noradrenaline in your bloodstream can shoot up 60%. Have people drink 2 cups of water with electrodes stuck in their legs, and within 20 minutes, you can document about a 40% increase in bursts of fight or flight nerve activity. Chug 2 or 3 cups of water, and blood flow squeezes down in your calves and arms, clamping down nearly in half as arteries to your limbs and skin constrict to divert blood to your core. That's why, for example, drinking water can be such a safe, simple, effective way to prevent yourself from fainting, known medically as syncope. Fainting is the sudden, brief loss of consciousness caused by diminished blood flow to your brain. About 1 in 5 people experience this at least once, and about 1 in 10 may have repeated episodes, causing millions of emergency room visits and hospitalizations every year. Though fainting can be caused by heart problems, it is most often triggered by prolonged standing, blood pools in your legs, or strong emotions, which can cause your blood pressure to bottom out. About 1 in 25 people have what's called blood injury or injection phobia, where getting a needle stick, for example, can cause you to faint. More than 150,000 people experience fainting or near fainting spells each year when they donate blood. All you have to do to help prevent yourself from getting woozy, though, is just chug 2 cups of water 5 minutes before getting stuck. The secret isn't bolstering your overall blood volume. I mean, drinking 2 cups of water, even a whole quart, and your blood volume doesn't change more than like 1 or 2%. It's due rather to the shift in the distribution of blood towards your center, caused by the noradrenaline-induced peripheral artery constriction. Water drinking stimulates as much noradrenaline release as drinking a couple cups of coffee or smoking a couple unfiltered cigarettes. If the simple act of drinking water caused such a profound fight or flight reaction, why doesn't it cause our heart to pound and shoot our blood pressure through the roof? It's like the diving reflex I talked about in the last video. When we drink water, our body simultaneously sends signals to our heart to slow it down, to still your beating heart. You can try it at home. Measure your heart rate before and after drinking 2 cups of water. Within 10 minutes, your heart rate should slow by about 4 beats per minute, and by 15 minutes, it should be down to 6 or 7 beats. One of the ways scientists figured this out is by studying heart transplant patients. When you move a heart from one person to another, you have to sever all the attached nerves. And amazingly, some of the nerves grow back, but still, give healed heart transplant patients 2 glasses of water and their blood pressure goes up as much as 29 points. The body's unable to sufficiently quell the effect of that burst of noradrenaline. Some people have a condition known as autonomic failure, in which blood pressure regulation nerves don't work properly, and their pressures can dangerously skyrocket over 100 points after chugging 2 cups of water. That's how powerful an effect a simple act of drinking a glass of water can be. And the only reason it doesn't happen to all of us is that we have an even more powerful counter response to keep our heart in check. Reminds me of the poor woman who had a stroke after taking the ice bucket challenge due to an insufficient diving reflex to tamp down all that extra noradrenaline release. The remarkable water effect can be useful for people suffering from milder forms of autonomic failure, such as orthostatic hypotension, which is when people get dizzy standing up suddenly. Drinking some water before getting out of bed in the morning can be a big help. But what about that metabolic boost? With so much noradrenaline,
I go out there, hold on. It'll be back. It does this when I don't.
Released with your adrenal gland hormones in overdrive, by drinking a few glasses of water cause you to burn more body fat. Could tap water be like a safe form of ephedra? Although weight loss with a nice slowing of your heart rate instead. Researchers decided to put it to the test, which we'll explore next.
Drinking water
60% surge
increases your weight loss.
Noradrenaline within minutes of just drinking 2 cups of plain water. Might one get the weight loss benefits of noradrenaline releasing drugs like ephedra without the risk? You don't know until you put it to the test. Published in the Journal of the Endocrine Society, the results were described as uniquely spectacular. Drinking 2 cups of water increased the metabolic rate of men and women by 30%. The increase started within 10 minutes and reached a maximum within an hour. And then 90 minutes after drinking a single tall glass of water in the study, subjects burned about an extra 25 calories. Do that 4 times a day throughout the day, and you could wipe out 100 extra calories, more than Ephedra. You trim off more calories drinking water than taking weight loss doses of the banned substance ephedra, the active component of Ephedra, 3 times a day. And we're just talking about plain, cheap, safe, and legal tap water. Using the 10-calorie rule I explained previously, unless we somehow compensated by eating more or moving less, drinking that much water could make us lose 10 pounds over time. In essence, concluded one research team, drinking water provides negative calories. A similar effect was found in overweight and obese children. Drinking about 2 cups of water led to a 25% increase in metabolic rate within 24 minutes, lasting at least 66 minutes until the experiment ended. So just getting the recommended daily adequate intake of water, about 7 cups a day for children ages 4 through 8, and for ages 9 through 13, 8 cups a day for girls and 10 cups for boys, may offer more than just hydration benefits. Not all research teams were able to replicate these findings, though. Others only found about a 10 to 20% increase, a 5% increase, or effectively none at all. Pouring cold water, one might say, on the whole concept. What we care about, though, is weight loss. The proof is in the pudding. Let's test the waters, shall we? Some researchers suggest the increase in metabolic rate with water drinking could be systematically applied in the prevention of weight gain. Talk about a safe, simple, side effect-free solution. In fact, free in every sense. Drug companies may spend billions getting a new drug to market. Surely a little could be spared to test something that, in the very least, couldn't hurt. That's the problem, though. Water is a cost-free intervention. There are observational studies suggesting that those who drink, for example, 4 more cups of water a day appear to lose more weight independent of confounding factors such as less soda or more exercise. But you don't really know until you put it to the test. And finally, in 2013, effect of water-induced thermogenesis on body weight, body mass index, and body composition of overweight subjects. 50 overweight girls, actually women, ages 18 to 23, were asked to drink 2 cups of water 3 times a day, half an hour before meals, over and above their regular water intake, without otherwise changing their diets or physical activity, and they lost an average of 3 pounds in 8 weeks. What happened to those in the control group? There was no control group, a fatal flaw for any weight loss study due to the Hawthorne effect, where just knowing you're being watched and weighed may subtly affect people's behavior. Of course, we're just talking about water, so with no downsides, one might as well give it a try, but I'd feel more confident if there were some randomized controlled trials to really put it to the test. Thankfully, there are. I hate it when the title ruins the suspense. Overweight and obese men and women randomized to 2 cups of water before each meal lost nearly 5 pounds more body fat, 12 weeks, than those in the control. Now, both groups were put on the same calorie-restricted diet, but the one with the added water lost weight 44% faster. A similar randomized control trial found that about 1 in 4 in the water group lost more than 5% of their body weight, compared to only 1 in 20 in the control group. The average weight loss difference was only about 3 pounds, but those who claimed to have actually complied with the 3 times a day instructions lost about 8 more pounds compared to those who only did the extra water once a day or less. This is comparable to commercial weight loss programs like Weight Watchers, and all they did was drink some extra water.
All right. Is that cool or what? I want you to listen to the whole thing because he gives that whole history of Ephedra. And I want to tell you, back in 1981, when I got married the first time, I got married weighing 147 pounds. And I thought I was thin because I'd always been over 200. And so I thought 147 was great, but I wanted to lose more weight. And ephedrine was that diet potion that he was talking about from the ephedrine plant, which speeds metabolism, but it also was causing heart attack, high blood pressure, and death. And I was so desperate to lose weight that I got one of the last orders available of ephedra to take it. And I thought I was going to have a dang heart attack taking that stuff. My heart was racing so bad, but that's how bad I was willing to have a heart attack to be able to lose a few more pounds, you know, because I was getting married and I wanted to look good, right? So that was not enough to get me to know anything more about nutrition. Again, I was just out of my house, growing up the way I did. So this was going to be new. But he says on here that drinking just 2 cups of water before meals. Now, I've asked you guys to drink 16 ounces because we're all adults and we can handle 2 cups of water at a time every 2 hours. So if you were to drink every 2 hours from the time you wake up and have your meals in between, you'd hit about the 30 to 60 minute mark before a meal. So if you're eating this hour, but you're not, you're eating this hour, but you're not having water until over here, you know, here, it makes a huge difference. And my biggest weight losses when Tiffany calls me each week are the weeks that I make sure that I get my water in every 2 hours, like I've always suggested. And it's hard even for me, and I'm surrounded by water spigots everywhere. So it's hard to do, but if that's the only beverage you're taking in, your body's going to tell you that you need a drink. And you're going to have to go to the bathroom about every 2 hours too. So it works out great. You go to the bathroom, you wash your hands, you get a drink. You go to the bathroom, you wash your hands, you get a drink. And your body will be on this perfect cycle about every 2 hours, which keeps your internal terrain washed, rinsed, and clean. Like we're trying to avoid accumulation of germs anyways, because of this whole COVID thing going on. And they've got us washing our hands here, but we need to make sure we're washing the insides. I have a, what do you call it, reaction to people who are telling me that they're eating perfectly, and they'll name all the foods they're eating perfectly, and then I'll ask them about their beverages, and they're like, oh yeah, I've got like 6 cups of coffee a day, even 1 cup of coffee is toxic enough, or different things like that, that they're putting all this negative stuff into their body. And it's counterproductive. I mean, yes, they're having benefits, but they can have so much more benefits if they would take that one thing and replace it with a better thing like water. And like I said, it's free. He talks about tap water, and that just, you saw my hair, it just stood up on ends because, you know, I'm freaking out about all the metals and the toxins that are inside of tap water, because that's my specialty. I focus on that, and that's why we started the water company to begin with, is to get that cleaned up for people. So it's late, it's 1:10. If you have more time, I have more goodies for today I really wanted to get to. But before we go much further, let's go ahead and, Beth, let's announce our winner for the drawing this last month. And then I'll post the new rules up on the Facebook page later today.
Okay, there. I'm on my phone, so the picture looks better. So couldn't figure out how to unmute it. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but it's Tatia.
Tasha? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I can't remember how to spell her last name either, but Tatia. You've seen her posting some food lately on the group here. So that's great. We're really proud of her, and we'll let her know. I'm hoping that she'll be able to join the call here one of these days. And I'd love to have our guest speaker, Joy, that was on here a couple weeks ago. I'd like to have her come back as well. I'd like to have this packed with, what is there, 260 some odd people in our group now. I'd like to see a bunch of little teeny tiny faces up here. You know, all 260 people. That would be like my goal. So my birthday's in June. Maybe we can get everybody up here in June for us to have a big, huge, everybody on the screen kind of thing. But I do have a couple more things, or I can save it till next week. So it would be a great topic for next week as well. So it's up to you. Would you guys want me to keep going, or you want to call it a day? No commento, por favor.
I don't mind staying if anybody else is going to stay.
I can stay.
All right, so I have another couple of clips. I've got the times marked down here. It was a video interview that Chef AJ did just recently, like in the last week or so, with Dr. McDougall and his wife. And I want you to hear it from, quote unquote, the horse's mouth. There's some really good things here. I've got the little timestamps here so I can get to it quite quickly if I can do this correctly. Let's see here. Right here is the screen. So this is the first one, first segment that I wanted to go to, and it's at segment 17 something, and she's introducing one of the people who joined the online program that I just did, and I want you to hear some great comments that she had about the program and about what she's learning. And she's not new to this, so listen to this. Did I share the screen? Are you guys seeing it? Let's see here. Oh, I didn't share, did I? Haha. Okay, let me share. Get to the screen here. All right, now you can see it, right? Somebody nod your head. Okay.
Can't hear her. Can't hear her.
Oh, you can't hear again, because again, we're sharing that same video. Okay, that's going to be a problem. All right, I'll try to figure out how to remedy that, but let me just go over it verbally with you. I didn't even think about that, because again, if you're on the same device, it won't let me share that with you. So stop screen sharing. Okay, we're back to normal. All right, so her name was Shelly, and she just recently did the program, and she had some great things to say about it. There's also a guy on there named Tom from Hawaii. He's actually a medical doctor. I think he might have been in Alaska at the time. But he also did the program like 10 years ago and came back and did it again and said that you learned so much from doing the online program. So it's a little bit pricey. It's $24.95. But I think the most valuable part about it is having Dr. Lim as your medical doctor for a year to be able to ask any question about your weight loss journey, or having the girls call you every single week and get your weight and blood pressure and blood sugar and all that stuff and hold you accountable. And then after the 3 months, it goes to once a year. And I understood from a recent call that during the next 9 months, it'll be Mary or Dr. McDougall or their daughter Heather that's going to actually call and check up on us. So they're collecting all this data for research, but at the same time, it's beneficial to us as well. So, but at 24.55 of this video, and I'll share the video in the because it's a YouTube link from Chef AJ. I'll put it in there so you can watch it, and I'll put these timestamps in there. But it says that Chef AJ was quoting Dr. McDougall as saying that he always says that starch is to the hunger drive like oxygen is to breathing. So we have to have oxygen to breathe, and starch is that key element in keeping us from feeling hunger. You know, we can, like I was doing before, I could eat piles and piles, biggest salads you've ever seen, gorgeous salads, every color under the rainbow, and then I would be hungry, like not very long after that, because I had no starches in there whatsoever, because I didn't understand that concept. And I don't want you guys to ever feel that you don't understand that concept, because that's why we're here. Let's see, there was another lady on there that graduated just last Tuesday, in fact. He talks about, biblically speaking, Daniel's diet. And Dr. McDougall is not a real religious guy. A lot of medical doctors and scientists aren't, you know. I'm one of those exceptions. You know, I feel it's a very important part of our life. But he does reference back to Daniel's diet. And he says that they were following the McDougall program. They called it pulses in water. But Daniel wanted his warriors and the people to eat pulses, which is another word for like legumes and things like that. I believe that's correct. Does anybody know the actual term for pulses? They can look it up on their phone real quick for me. But pulses in water was the diet from the Bible, and how much more strength they had. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I mean, same thing, you know, going in and wanting to have the strength of warriors. And they knew they weren't going to accomplish that if they were eating meat. In another section, it talks about how to cook for spouses. And going back to that, if it's in the house, it's in your mouth routine. We have a rule at our house that is working quite well for us. We no longer buy meat or cheese or dairy or oil, things like that. So if my family wants it, they have to go out to dinner to get it, or go get it, eat it, and be gone, because I can't have it in the house. And now that my husband's actually on board with me for the first time in 13 years, where the only fights that we ever had, because we were so compatible, and then all of a sudden I started wanting to get healthy, and that's when the argument started coming. It all came over food. So today he was jabbing me just a little. The man's from Idaho, Spud Central, you know, in the United States. If it's an Idaho Spud, it's a potato. And I had taken his potatoes away for nearly 30 years. You know, it's going on 29 years of marriage. And even back when we first got married, I knew that starches were bad for you and they made you gain weight, blah, blah, blah. And so today he had to give me a little jab, and he was laughing because on one of the chats I was on this morning with my group, they were talking about that. And he just starts laughing in the background, because it's like, all these years you denied me potatoes, and now you're telling me to eat potatoes for every meal. So it's kind of a little different. And I said, okay, I'm sorry, honey, you're right. I was wrong. I'm sorry. But we're learning, we're evolving. But I says, but I will not go back ever and tell you it's okay to have your potato with your meat at the same time. That is ixnay, enskay, ninsno. It's not going to happen. So, because what happens again, when we put the starches and the carbohydrates together, your body secretions that help to balance out and finalize your digestion, because your digestion's in your teeth. We've talked about this before. You have to chew this to liquid. And when you don't, your body secretes alkaline secretions to help break down starches that you didn't chew to liquid, but it also secretes hydrochloric acid to break down animal proteins that you did not chew to liquid. And so when you put those two together, they cancel each other out. So he knows that if we go out to dinner, which we do about every 2 weeks, he will get, you know, maybe his steak to get it out of his system, and he'll have a salad, and he'll have asparagus or green beans or something like that. But he'll get the baked potato to go, and he'll have it the next day. And it's just one meal. And that's kind of how we have it in our house. You know, don't let one little tiny slip up ruin your wet day or your week. Just, if you made a boo-boo at this meal, start again the next meal. Just do it right the next time. And that's the habit that I want us to break, is so many of us have had a lifetime of dieting where if we get off track, we throw our hands in the air and it's all over. And that one meal did not consist of enough calories, 3,500 calories extra, beyond what you would have eaten that day, beyond what you needed to function and survive, beyond sitting on the couch with a remote in your hand. You would have to have eaten a lot of calories, like probably close to 7,000 calories in a single day to put on 1 pound of weight in a single day. And because of your exercise and everything else, or you're moving or whatever. So at least 3,500 calories is what it takes to burn or add a pound of fat. And so with that knowledge, we can't let the scale beat us up and get us off track. We can't let that one cookie, you know, that was there at the birthday party or whatever, get us off track. It's one and done. One and it's done. Move on. All right, to the next one. I liked how this video here was just talking about having, or that audio we were listening to, that in a group of 18 to 23-year-old women, by just adding those 2 cups of water 3 times a day, 30 minutes or more before the meal, so that's why I say 30 minutes to an hour before, that they lost 3 pounds extra in 8 weeks with no other changes to their life, nothing else. But that water turned on that ephedrine response inside our body, that thermogenic metabolism booster, better than the actual drug did itself. So that's something I want to talk about again. And at point 54 and 30 seconds into the video with Dr. McDougall and Chef AJ, they talk about people that have come to him and said, but Dr. McDougall, you don't understand. I have an eating disorder. I can't stop eating. I just will eat everything in my house. You know, I'll just go into this eating frenzy. And he says that they don't have an eating disorder. They have hunger. And I thought about that for a second, and I thought, you know what? On days that I have in the past had a binge attack where I just want to eat everything I can get my hands on and anything that fits in my mouth. And usually as fast as I can get it there, because I don't want anybody to see me that I did that. You know, it's something we do in secret usually. I noticed that those things that I was shoving into my mouth are all these low density, low nutrition, calorie ridden, processed foods that are not healthy for any diet, let alone, you know, somebody who's trying to lose weight. And so people are eating all this food, and they're like in the fridge at night eating ice cream. They're eating the cookies out of the cupboard. They're eating a box of cereal like it was popcorn, you know, and they're eating all this. And then they have to feel guilty the next day because now they're miserable, and even an hour later, as soon as they stop and take a breath, they now feel guilty. And then that makes them feel depressed. And then they want to eat more. But again, if they're eating all these no calorie, no satiating type foods, they're going to keep eating. And it's not the eating disorder as much as it's the bad food leaving them still feeling hungry. So he says they have hunger. He says you'd be really surprised at how simple he and Mary's meals are. And that people are shocked that, you know, she's got over 4,000 recipes out there in print for us to download and use. And I love her app. You know, that's just incredible where you can, Nicole was here yesterday and she was talking about, she loves the app and she had her kids go in and put stars on some of her favorites. Then she'll go back in and you tap on the ingredients that you don't have and it creates a shopping list for you. It's like a no-brainer. And how many recipes she has, but they eat the same thing every day. In fact, Dr. McDougall cooks breakfast every single morning, and he is the expert at exactly how much oats to how much water makes the perfect oatmeal for them. And so he does that every single morning. Chef AJ talked about how she has broccoli and sweet potato every single day for lunch, and she's been doing it for years. Sweet potato and broccoli, sweet potato and broccoli, sweet potato and broccoli. And she says that it saves her from having what she calls decision fatigue. You know, that I get caught in the meat market. I'm standing in the kitchen spinning circles going, do I want this? Do I want that? Do I want this? Do I want this? And there's so many choices that I get overwhelmed. And then I either make a bad choice or I make a new choice that now takes up 45 minutes to an hour of my time because I'm making something creative when I could have very simply just grabbed the potato, the mustard, and a cucumber and been happier. You know what I mean? Because those little baby cucumbers and me are buds, and those cold potatoes are me are buds, you know? So, hey, Carolyn, I know you got to go back to work, but thank you. I'll wrap it up here in a few minutes. You can watch it later if you need to, but thank you. But decision fatigue and keeping it simple, but that doesn't mean don't show me pictures of it because we want to see that. We want to see how simple it is. That, you know, for especially our new people, they're overwhelmed by my posts because I'm like, you know, got this long recipe going on because I'm writing this cookbook in the background, you know, and I don't want them to feel like they have to do that. I don't want them to feel like that is the only way they can succeed. So the more simple plates of, you know, potatoes and vegetables or, you know, rice and vegetables or whatever that you can show us, whatever you're eating, we want to see it. That's what I'm going to ask is that I want to see the food. Show me the food. Cooking for spouses, we talked about that. All right, I think that's about it for what I had to talk about today, but I just want to tell you that I really appreciate every single one of you because this has been as much for me as it is for you because I'm accountable to you. I have to get up every morning and have the mindset that, okay, what can I teach them today? So I'm anxious to open up that contest like Gina suggested, to be able to read or watch something that is of inspiration to you and then share that inspiration with the group. And that all counts as a point. So Beth will be she's the one that goes through and categorizes them so we can find them in our topics. So she'll be able to know right away when somebody adds an inspirational thought, because it's those inspirational thoughts that's going to get your name into the hat. It's going to be those pictures of all three of your or four, whatever meals you had for the day that you post at least once a day that shows, you can post them individually all day long if you want, if that keeps you motivated. But if you at least once a day are posting your no cheat days. I want to see your no cheat days. And I'd love to see 7 of those at least from each of you this week, that we did an entire week without a single cheat. How many want to try that? You know, let's do it. We get one week of no cheating. Let's do it. Pinky promise. There we go. Pinky promise. We can do it. And then the third thing was attending these luncheons or watching the playback. So
And commenting.
what's that?
And commenting.
Commenting.
Watch and comment.
Gotta put, she only adds up the people into the box, into the bowl that comment. And so that's really, really important, because that helps you to know what you're learning, and we know that you saw it and stuff like that. But we're really excited to be able to help you with your journey as well. So any other questions today?
Are you going to make a new accountability sheet?
I can make it with just those 3 things. Yeah. All right, I'll do that. Okay, if I'm going to make an accountability sheet, I'm going to add an extra line for what?
Water.
Yeah. So you get an extra point for drinking the water. At least I want to see at least 4 to 6 glasses a day. And I say that because he just explained here that children, 8 glasses of water was for children between 9 and 13. Is anybody on here 9 years old? Anybody 13? 8 glasses of water is barely 2 of these. That's half a gallon for a 9 to 13-year-old. So I tell people that if you're over the age of 20 and you are over 120 pounds, you would need at least 3 of these, 3 quarts, just to get your heart to beat properly and your brain to function properly. So Beth and Caroline are the only lucky ones on the group that are under 120 pounds. And so they would have less than that, but they would still need at least 3 quarts a day minimum. And we're not 9 to 13 years old. So 8 cups is not enough. But I also want to stress the importance of not putting toxic things in our body. If you need a substitute for energy because you're a coffee drinker, how many of you are doing my green lemonade and love it? How many are you doing that? Okay. I mean, Sam's been doing her lemonade water. It might not be green, but she's been doing her lemonade water for years, right, Sam? You still doing it?
What's lemonade green water?
What's that?
What's the lemonade green water?
So it's the, I call it green lemonade, but it's the quart of water. And I've posted the recipe, I'll do it again, but quart of water, and it's a level teaspoon of pink salt for our electrolytes. It's like making homemade Gatorade, but not Gatorade. Do not go buy Gatorade in exchange, because that is toxic garbage. And then I put the juice of lemon or lime in there. I use the little THRU lemon or lime crystal packets. It's just non-GMO crystallized lemon or lime, or you can use a fresh lemon or lime, 1 or 2 slices of that. Yeah, it looks like
this.
And one. Okay.
And
then the chlorophyll on there's her pink salt.
And then I do this too, the orange one.
Oh, how do you like that one?
Well, I do it like you did me the first time, and you were like, "Oh, I'm gonna put one of the orange in too," and I was like, "No, no," and I haven't stopped drinking it yet because it's so good. So I use 2 in this big container, which is
28 ounces, I think.
It's 2 water bottles, so it's 32
ounces. Yeah.
So this, I put 3 of these.
Ooh.
And of these.
Ooh.
And some of that.
Okay. So you like it really strong. See, I only do 1 of those lemon or lime packs in this whole quart. So, but I do sometimes want it a little stronger.
Yeah, I like a lot.
It's the same. It's the same ounces. That's 32 ounces in both of those. So that's a
Yeah, but
huge game
remember
changer.
when we went on the trip,
Yeah.
and this filled up, I mean, your thing filled this up
Yeah.
here.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So yours might be a European liter, which is 34. It's 2 ounces more. But the chlorophyll part of that, we do offer a chlorophyll through the pharmacy where my clinic is, that is special made for me in California with no alcohol, no preservatives, and no waxes. And those things are in every chlorophyll you can buy at a grocery store. And so this is very pure. And 1 tablespoon is equivalent to 2.2 pounds of juice greens. So in order to get the amount of chlorophyll that's in that 1 tablespoon, which is 3 teaspoons, you would have to take 2.2 pounds worth of greens and juice them to get that equivalent. So that's something we have there at the pharmacy. I like
Can
it.
I use this?
What's that?
Can
Yes,
I use this lemon?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I've been doing this with my water. So all I would need to add is the salt and the chlorophyll.
Yes. So the
Okay.
lemon and lime, your citrus foods, the only caution that they'll make is that they can slowly deteriorate the enamel on your teeth. And so it's important to use a straw when you're drinking them, especially as strong as Samantha's got it. She's got her straw in her bottle there to be able to get it to go past her teeth. You're so funny. But yeah, those are some little tricks, and it also makes it more enjoyable to drink the water. If you are drinking tap water, the lemon or the lime will actually literally neutralize the chlorine in the water. It won't take any of the other toxins out of the water, but that's primarily why when you go to a restaurant, they serve your water with lemon or lime. It's to be able to make it so that you don't gag at the smell, which will destroy your appetite, because if you're drinking that water and you're smelling it. But then I go back to my old rule of thumb where I say don't drink water with your meals. If you're going to go to a restaurant or have something else with your meals, have tomato juice, and at a restaurant you can get a virgin Bloody Mary, no ice, no salt, that sort of thing. You can even get it without the spice if you want, which is back to the tomato juice. You can also do oat milk or something like that to have with your meal, or vegetable broth, or the soup, having that preloading thing that Caroline was talking about, and having some soup on hand. But I know Beth's got to go too. We all got to go, actually. It's 1:35. So, all right. I love you guys. We'll see you next week, same time, same channel. And one last time, because you want to see it. Okay, here we go. I'll say goodbye to with my duck lips here.
Such a dork.
I know.
Okay.
Thank you. I resemble that statement. All right. Talk to you guys later. Love you.
Let's exercise.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Exercise. Bye.